The global shift to electric vehicles hinges on a single massive Chinese giant, Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, better known to the world as CATL. Deep within the green hills of Ningde, China, this quiet corporate titan manufactures over one-third of the planet's electric vehicle batteries. Every day, thousands of lithium-ion cells roll off its ultra-automated assembly lines, destined for the chassis of Teslas, Volkswagens, and BMWs. For years, CATL has sat unchallenged on the throne of the clean energy transition. But as 26 unfolds, the geopolitical ground is shaking. Western superpowers, driven by a mixture of economic panic and national security anxiety, are pouring trillions of dollars into local gigafactories. From the dusty deserts of Nevada to the industrial heartlands of Germany and the raw plains of Canada, a coordinated global assault is underway. The goal is simple, yet incredibly difficult: to shatter China's monopoly on the most critical technology of the 21st century. We are witnessing the onset of a high-stakes battery war, where the ultimate prize is total energy independence. The question is, can the reigning king survive a global coalition designed specifically to bring it down? To understand why the West is so terrified of CATL, we have to look back to how this untouchable empire was built. It is a story of incredible foresight, aggressive state backing, and a strategic gamble that the West completely ignored. In 2011, a brilliant engineer named Robin Zeng founded CATL in his hometown of Ningde. At the time, the global automotive industry viewed electric vehicles as a niche, almost comical experiment. Legacy car giants like General Motors and Toyota were still perfecting the internal combustion engine. If they thought about batteries at all, they looked to Japanese and South Korean conglomerates like Panasonic, LG, and Samsung, companies that specialized in high-performance, nickel-based chemistries. But Zeng saw a different future. He understood that for electric vehicles to go mainstream, batteries had to be cheap, durable, and above all, safe. While the West focused on complex, expensive chemistries like nickel-manganese-cobalt, or NMC, CATL placed a massive bet on lithium iron phosphate, known as LFP. At the time, Western engineers dismissed LFP. It had lower energy density, meaning a car couldn't travel as far on a single charge. It was heavy, it was clunky. But LFP was also incredibly stable, highly resistant to catching fire, and most importantly, it did not require expensive cobalt or nickel. Zeng's gamble paid off in 2012 when BMW was looking for a local partner to build batteries for its Chinese joint venture. BMW's engineers spent months working alongside CATL, sharing rigorous German manufacturing standards and teaching the young Chinese startup how to scale production to automotive grade. It was the ultimate masterclass, and CATL absorbed every single lesson. As the Chinese government began pouring billions in subsidies into the domestic electric vehicle market, it implemented a critical protectionist policy. To receive government subsidies, automakers had to use batteries made by domestic Chinese companies. Virtually overnight, CATL's foreign competitors were locked out of the world's fastest-growing EV market. Safe within this state-sponsored incubator, CATL did not just grow, it exploded. But CATL's true masterstroke was not just building batteries, it was securing the entire supply chain. While Western automakers believed they could simply buy battery cells like any other commodity, CATL was quietly securing the mines. Through aggressive acquisitions and partnerships, CATL's parent networks locked down lithium mines in Australia and South America, cobalt reserves in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and nickel deposits in Indonesia. They did not just buy raw materials, they built the massive chemical refining infrastructure required to turn raw dirt into high-purity battery chemicals. By the time the West woke up to the EV revolution, China controlled over 70% of the world's cobalt refining, 60% of lithium processing, and 90% of rare earth magnet production. CATL had built the ultimate vertical integration mode. This highly optimized domestic supply chain meant CATL could produce battery packs up to 35% cheaper than European and North American competitors. By 2025, CATL's dominance was absolute. The company recorded an operating revenue of over 423 billion yuan, roughly $58 billion, with a net profit surging 42% to 72 billion yuan. In the first half of 26, CATL captured nearly 40% of the global EV battery market and a staggering 50.1% of its domestic market inside China. For global automakers, this was a dream turned nightmare. They realized that their transition to clean energy was entirely dependent on a single supplier, situated in a country with which geopolitical tensions were rapidly escalating. Relying on CATL was no longer just a supply chain decision. It had become a critical national security risk. The pushback was inevitable, and it has arrived with unprecedented fury. The battlefield of this battery war is no longer just defined by engineering, but by raw geopolitics and protectionist policy shields. In North America, the United States finalized sweeping tariff structures and strict foreign entity of concern rules under the Inflation Reduction Act. These regulations effectively cut off consumer tax credits for any electric vehicle utilizing Chinese processed minerals or battery components. Across the Atlantic, the European Union implemented its own aggressive trade barriers and anti-subsidy investigations, slapping steep tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles and tightening environmental regulations on imported battery packs. These policies were designed with one explicit goal: to force global automakers to decouple from China and build a domestic Western supply chain. And the money flowing into this transition is staggering. In the United States, a massive industrial corridor stretching from Michigan to Georgia, often dubbed the Battery Belt, has received over $100 billion in private and public investments. Gigafactories are rising from the ground at a relentless pace. Legacy giants like Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have partnered with South Korean firms to build domestic gigafactories, hoping to capture lucrative government subsidies. In Canada, the government has pledged billions in financial packages to attract Volkswagen and Stellantis to build massive battery plants in Ontario. Meanwhile, in Europe, homegrown champions like Sweden's Northvolt have fought tooth and nail to scale up domestic manufacturing. Despite facing severe early production bottlenecks, Northvolt and other European consortia are racing to establish a sovereign European battery ecosystem, powered by clean hydro and wind energy. But building a gigafactory is only half the battle. The true vulnerability of the West lies in the dirt. Even if a factory in Nevada or Germany can assemble a battery cell, the raw lithium, nickel, and cobalt must still, in most cases, travel through Chinese-controlled supply chains for refining. To break this dependency, Western startups and mining conglomerates are racing to develop localized chemical processing facilities. But scaling chemical refining is incredibly carbon-intensive, expensive, and slow, often taking up to a decade to bring a single facility online. Faced with this bottleneck, the West is pinning its hopes on a radical strategy: bypassing traditional lithium-ion technology entirely. If you cannot beat CATL at their own game, you change the rules of the game. The holy grail of this technological leap is the solid-state battery. By replacing the volatile liquid electrolyte found in today's batteries with a solid material, engineers can theoretically create cells that are twice as energy-dense, completely immune to catching fire, and capable of recharging in under 10 minutes. A solid-state breakthrough would render CATL's massive liquid electrolyte factories obsolete overnight. Western companies, backed by billions in venture capital, have claimed that they are on the verge of commercializing these revolutionary cells. Companies like QuantumScape and Solid Power have sent early prototypes to automotive partners, promising a future of 1,000-mile ranges and ultra-fast charging. But the actual heavyweights of the global battery and automotive industries have issued a sobering collective reality check. Behind closed doors and on the global stage, the three biggest titans of the industry, CATL, Toyota, and BYD, are aligned in a surprising consensus. They all agree on one critical truth: true mass production of solid-state batteries will not happen before 2030. In 26, CATL's legendary chairman, Robin Zeng, publicly tempered expectations, revealing that on an internal development scale of 1 to 9, true all-solid-state batteries are still only at level 4. And Toyota, which has long grabbed headlines with its aggressive solid-state claims, has quietly adjusted its roadmap. Even with its massive solid-state pilot plant in Japan, Toyota's official projections reveal that by 2030, they only plan to manufacture enough solid-state batteries to power roughly 10,000 vehicles. For a company that sells millions of cars annually, this is not a mass-market solution. It is a highly exclusive, low-volume pilot test. Meanwhile, BYD, CATL's fiercest domestic rival and the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturer, has arrived at the exact same conclusion. BYD's research division confirmed that while they aim to begin deploying solid-state packs in limited batches by 2027 for their ultra-luxury Yangwang brand, large-scale mass-market commercialization is strictly a post-2030 objective. The engineering hurdles are simply too immense. To make a solid-state battery function, manufacturers must apply extreme compaction pressure, up to 6,000 atmospheres, to ensure the solid materials maintain contact. Over time, as the battery charges and discharges, the materials expand and contract, causing microscopic cracks that increase internal resistance and degrade the battery rapidly. Because of these fundamental thermodynamic, chemical, and manufacturing barriers, the consensus among CATL, Toyota, and BYD remains unbreakable. The solid-state revolution is a long-term play, and liquid or semi-solid-state chemistry will remain the dominant force for years to come. Instead of chasing distant laboratory dreams, CATL is utilizing its massive research and development budget, which reached over 22 billion yuan in 2025, to commercialize intermediate and highly practical solutions right now. In 2026, CATL successfully began the mass production of its highly anticipated sodium-ion batteries. Sodium is one of the most abundant elements on Earth, found in common table salt. By completely eliminating the need for lithium, cobalt, and nickel, CATL's sodium-ion chemistry bypasses the volatile raw material markets entirely. However, sodium-ion technology is not a magic bullet, at least not yet. Because of its fundamental chemistry, current sodium-ion cells suffer from a significantly lower energy density compared to premium lithium-ion packs. This lower density means that to store the same amount of power, a sodium-ion battery must be physically larger and much heavier. Because of this massive footprint, its practical application is strictly limited. It is not viable for long-range, high-performance electric vehicles. Instead, the technology is primarily confined to stationary applications, such as massive grid-scale energy storage systems, backup power systems, and regional micro-mobility. While CATL is aggressively trying to close the gap and targets a 600-kilometer range for compact, budget-tier passenger cars, the reality remains that sodium-ion is a heavy, stationary-first solution designed to ease the pressure on the global lithium supply chain. Furthermore, CATL has unleashed its next-generation, ultra-fast charging platforms, capable of adding 400 kilometers of range in just 10 minutes. They are also investing heavily in lithium air chemistry, an open-cell architecture that draws oxygen directly from the surrounding atmosphere, drastically reducing the weight of the battery pack and holding the theoretical potential for a staggering 1,600-kilometer range. This represents the core of CATL's defensive strategy, using their massive financial muscles to out-innovate, outscale, and outprice their rivals before Western gigafactories can even reach scale. As the battery war intensifies, CATL is executing a highly sophisticated geopolitical pivot. They realize that they cannot rely solely on exporting batteries from China. To survive the rise of Western protectionism, CATL is going local for local. In Europe, CATL is constructing a massive 100 gigawatt-hour factory in Debrecen, Hungary, representing a $7 billion investment. Strategically positioned in the heart of Europe, this plant will supply German luxury automakers directly, bypassing EU import tariffs and integrating CATL deep into Europe's economic infrastructure. In North America, where outright Chinese ownership of factories is politically impossible, CATL has pioneered an ingenious licensing model. Rather than owning the factory, CATL licenses its proprietary technology, manufacturing blueprints, and engineering expertise to Western partners, like Ford's massive battery plant in Michigan. This allows CATL to extract billions in licensing fees while shifting the geopolitical and financial risks entirely onto American shoulders. So, how will the global energy balance look when the dust settles? We are highly unlikely to see a complete defeat of CATL, nor are we likely to see a total Chinese monopoly. Instead, the global energy market is fracturing into distinct, sovereign battery ecosystems. In the West, we will see a heavily protected, higher-cost domestic market. Driven by strict regulations and government subsidies, this ecosystem will focus on high-end, premium chemistries, hybrid solid-liquid cells, and eventually true solid-state technology. It will be cleaner, more secure, but undeniably more expensive for the average consumer. In the East and across rapidly emerging markets in Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa, CATL and its Chinese rivals will continue to dominate. Their unparalleled scale, vertical integration, and mastery of low-cost chemistries like sodium-ion and LFP will make their batteries the only viable choice for affordable, mass-market electric vehicles. Amidst this division, the next major battlefield of the battery war is already taking shape. Battery recycling, often called urban mining. As millions of early-generation electric vehicles reach the end of their lifespans, the company that can efficiently harvest and regenerate the lithium, cobalt, and nickel from old packs will control a closed-loop supply chain that requires zero mining. Once again, CATL is leading the charge. In 2025, their spent battery recycling operations processed over 210,000 tons of batteries, successfully regenerating over 24,000 tons of lithium salts. The West is fighting a monumental uphill battle. They are trying to build in less than a decade what China and CATL spent nearly 20 years perfecting. As gigafactories continue to rise across the United States and Europe, we must ask ourselves, can the West truly achieve complete energy independence? Or will the sheer force of CATL's scale, innovation, and supply chain dominance force the world into a permanent, uneasy codependence on the giant from Ningde? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Will the West succeed in building its own sovereign supply chain, or is CATL simply too far ahead? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the business and technology shaping our future, please hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel for more high-production investigative analyses.